Details from this week's Town Council meeting on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Friday, October 19th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. Barnstable Town Council met last night. First up, a presentation from Andrew Gottlieb, president of the Cape Cod Water Protection Collaborative.
As I think everyone knows, the county commissioners directed Paul Nitwicki and myself to undertake a review of the county role in wastewater management planning back in the early part of the spring, and gave us until the end of this calendar year to develop a assessment and recommendation. We've been doing that, Paul and I together and separately have undertaken in excess of 50 community-based meetings, met with every executive board on the Cape multiple times through that period, and have been to every town at least 3 times to have a conversation with the boards and the general public on their views on wastewater management, trying to understand what role the county could play to facilitate and improve what's already happening at the local level. So what is our final direction then, and where are we thinking about going with this? One, to reiterate, an MWRA-style single treatment plan approach for the Cape is not something we will recommend to the county commissioners. That's not something that's on the table. We think that the logical planning and management unit is the watershed. In some instances, that's the same as the town. In most, it's not. Okay, and it requires, at some level, towns to have some nimbleness, because they're going to be working with, as you are, Mashpee and Sandwich on the west side or around Papaneset Bay, and Yarmouth to the east on Lewis Bay, and within yourself largely for the 3-bay system. So it's a challenge, but we think it's a challenge that enables towns to deal with their problems more effectively. So what's the role of the county in all this? As I said, it is not to subsume the responsibilities and roles of the individual municipalities. Rather, where we're going is we think that the county can and should provide an increased and enhanced level of planning and engineering assistance. We think that will provide the towns on Cape Cod with a somewhat more tailored expertise to our local circumstances. It'll provide a shortened learning curve, and it'll keep the knowledge and resources closer to the communities on a longer-term basis. Put you in a much better position to deal with your technical professionals on a peer-to-peer basis. We want to provide additional guidance to enable the local planning process to more formally comport with and get through the regulatory process. We believe that the county can advocate in a way that is not possible for individual municipalities for regulatory relief from certain rules and regulations that make it harder for towns to effectively and economically comply with the standards that are being imposed. Similarly, we think that as a county has an advocating role, that we can provide not only the regulatory flexibility that towns are going to need to comply, but the time needed to do it in a way that makes sense and is economical and affordable for our ratepayers. And lastly, we believe that the county can provide an advocacy role on behalf of all its municipalities to seek substantial federal and state contributions that recognize the monetary contributions that the Cape makes to the statewide economy and the national waters of significance that we have that warrant meaningful federal contributions. And we're going to recommend to the commissioners, and we told them this yesterday, that it should be our policy to pursue 50% of the ultimate cost of wastewater management on the Cape from off-Cape sources. That's what we think the county role can be, and we frankly believe that certainly on these last 2 items, that working as a unit, the county can more effectively pursue funding and regulatory relief in a way that exceeds what any individual town or 2 or 3 towns working together can accomplish. So lastly, and to just summarize, we think the county role is one that builds upon but does not supplant the important local role that's being played by the towns. And we believe that the county's role should be to facilitate watershed-based solutions, because that's the way we think we can solve the problem and do it in a way that doesn't break the bank for the individual ratepayers. We presented this yesterday. We are not yet done with this analysis. We're going to be taking this analysis back out on the road, maybe do another 50, hopefully not quite 50 community meetings between now and the end of the year. But we're going to be getting additional public comment on it. We're going to be fleshing out some of the mechanics that we think the county would need to pursue in order to be able to fulfill this role in the event that the county commissioners deem this an appropriate role for the county to play. And we'll be providing a final recommendation to the commissioners by the close of this calendar year.
The council also heard a presentation regarding the town's health insurance structure. They also read in changes to the town code to be discussed at a public hearing on November 1st. We'll have more details about that portion of the meeting on Monday's Barnstable Today. Meanwhile, last night the council also approved a grant for the police department. Deputy Chief Craig Tamish explains.
This is a grant. We have received this grant for several years as part of a training and incentive grant. This year it's more focused on training both for basic dispatch and in particular emergency medical dispatch. As of July 1st, just as background for you, the Commonwealth through the 911 board has required that all PSAPs, public safety answering points, of which we are the PSAP for the town of Barnstable, provide emergency medical dispatch. Emergency medical dispatch is the provision during a call of emergency information, whether it be for pre-arrival instructions for a heart attack, for a stroke, for poisonings, all those type of things. Any kind of animal where there may be some benefit given to the parties involved, we're required to go through set protocols that officers are trained in. To become a certified emergency medical dispatcher is a 3-day or 24-hour course, and all personnel who work in the dispatch area are required now to be emergency medical dispatch trained.
That $120,000 grant was accepted. Councilors also gave the nod to a series of grants for the Senior Center. Director of Community Services Lynn Poyant gave details to the council.
A $6,000 grant from Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands is specifically to fund our Silver Express van. A lot of you know that the Silver Express van provides a lifeline for a lot of seniors once they are no longer able to drive. It provides the daily service to let them go to the hospital, doctor's appointments, bank, grocery store, and items of that nature. In the previous year, we had 5,616 one-way trips that were provided to 172 seniors. The funding comes from Title III-E of the Older Americans Act, and we are extremely grateful to the Elder Services of Cape Cod for providing us with this grant. I'd like to thank both Madeline Noonan, our Senior Services Director, and Judy Redd, our Transportation Coordinator, for their efforts with this grant.
Thank you very much. We have any discussion on this item? We have a motion to move the question in a second. All in favor of moving this item, and all in favor of accepting this grant? That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you very much. Councilor Jocham, would you read 2013-029?
2013-029, acceptance of an $89,915 Executive Office of Elder Affairs grant to support staff salaries at the Senior Center, as written.
Once again, we have Lynn Poyant, Director of Community Services.
Thank you very much. The formula grant is based upon a formula of a certain dollar amount per senior in the town. In 2012, fiscal year 2012, we received roughly $80,000. With the the 2010 census, our senior population increased by approximately 825 seniors, and that way the dollar amount per senior went up to $7. So this year's total for 12,845 seniors represents $89,915. As was mentioned, it does help with a number of our programs. It funds the activity coordinator, our marketing coordinator, and also partially funds the 2 part-time outreach coordinators that we have. And in addition, it helps to offset operating expenses, which includes our newsletter mailings, which now go out quarterly instead of on a monthly basis because we are trying to trim costs, as well as repairs and maintenance for our Silver Express vans.
You can watch Thursday's council meeting in its entirety online at town.barnstable.ma.us. We'll have more coverage of the meeting on Monday's edition of Barnstable Today. I'm Sarah Colvin.